All right, so this week we are talking about online lead generation, and there's a few aspects that go into online lead generation. The reason why I want to talk about this first is because a lot of us are kind of in the online space already on social media, have a website and all this stuff. And so this will clarify a little more about what does lead generation look like when we're trying to build relationships and build trust with people over a screen. It's a lot easier to have conversations over the phone, meet people face to face, and build relationships and trust that way. But doing it online is a little different. And so I hope this will help you in your prospecting online. Maybe you already know this stuff, or maybe it can be an encouragement and a reminder for wherever you're at. But yeah, getting started, online lead generation, what does that all include? Social media, it includes, if you've ever heard of SEO, that stands for search engine optimization, using the right words and key terms to attract clients. And also there's advertising that you can do online. But a big focus of what we want to talk about is social media, because as coaches, social media is the place to go to build relationships because this is where people are spending their time on the internet. So when it comes to social media, the reason why it's so powerful, one, it is that trust building factor. You yourself can represent your business and your personality behind it on social media a lot better than you could on a website. Not saying websites are bad or anything like that. Those are absolute needs. But when you're building relationships with prospects, with leads, social media and all the functionalities with that is really great. It's also beginner friendly and it's free, y'all. No paid ads, you don't have to pay for a website hosting. It's free to start. And doing that, the barrier entry is low. The only challenge with that is social media is hard. It's a steep learning curve because there's a lot of things, especially if you're not already active on social media for your personal life, learning social media and how to do it effectively is going to be a challenge. Whether it's writing posts, posting pictures with captions, going live. Joey witnessed it this morning. I had issues with my Facebook Live and or even just getting on camera, things like that. Those are challenges that absolutely you'll be learning as you're being more active on social media. The steep learning curve also comes with learning how to engage with people in a way that feels good, ethical, doesn't feel slimy, not just trying to pitch coaching and every post that you have as an advertisement for your services, asking people to buy. There's certain ways you want to be able to post on social media so it shows you're competent in your skill set, you understand what you're talking about, and you're really there to serve. You're not really there to get a sale from people. And so there's a lot that goes into the scripting, the messaging of social media posts, and we can definitely talk about that just so you yourself also have somewhat of a framework to understand how to be effective on social media when it comes to posting. So the thing with social media, although it is then more challenging to build relationship in person, it's also good compared to said websites and things like that. But overall online, it just feels less personal, right? When you have Zoom calls, you're there with people and stuff, but it also still feels less personal. Because once you hop off, you're just back to your normal day to day. And then lastly, it almost feels unnatural because it's so new, because it's not something you're used to. I will tell you this, when I started social media, it was uncomfortable. And I keep doing it, and it starts to feel more comfortable over time. But when I learned the scale of what I need to do to be effective on social media, that felt unnatural. Absolutely. Number of messages I'm trying to send to people, how engaged I was on Facebook groups and answering people's questions was very active. And I do want to let y'all know that it's not like posting once a week is establishing a social media presence. It's a start. It is good to have some of that, but the engagement where you're actually responding to comments, where you're jumping on other people's posts and answering questions, when you're inviting people to your DMs, those are the things that help turn strangers into people that know you and start to trust you and trust your expertise. So one of the big things with social media is this whole thing about putting your face out there. Embarrassment, insecurity, whatever you call it. For me, that's always been on video. Like writing a post, I can do posting a picture and a caption, I can do. But putting my face on camera, recorded for the world to see my mistakes and how I communicate was challenging, especially me listening to my own recordings. But that stuff comes with the reps, comes with time. I was only able to start feeling more comfortable when I was doing TikToks every single day. Like not like dancing TikToks, but like occasional TikToks. talking in a way that is easy to listen to, that doesn't have a whole bunch of filler words, and that also makes sense. Starting with a hook, having the value added, teasing what the value is at the end, and all that stuff too. So think about whenever you're marketing yourself, getting connected on social media, where are your clients? If you're in the professional space, maybe LinkedIn is a better social media platform for you. If you want to gear towards a younger audience that has more of that instant gratification attitude, TikTok may be that area for you. Each of these platforms is going to have a different way you're wanting to reach your audience. Facebook is probably the most diverse in terms of what you can post on there, from reels to long form videos, lives, like blog style posts, and really like the diversity of information that you can post is really great. But the demographic, think about who uses Facebook. Usually, as a general sense, that more of the millennials and Gen X and some of the Gen Z has Facebook. It's kind of just there, but they're not super active on it. The thing with Facebook, though, you have Facebook groups and things like that. And so YouTube is also another platform. That's probably the one of the broadest platforms because it's the second largest search engine after Google. That's crazy, right? And so that's a place where you really get some exposure, and everyone uses YouTube, right? But other video streaming platform is there that you can just look up user created content and all that. And so thinking about who you want to reach, how you want to reach them, where are they hanging out? Who are the people they're following, right? A lot of people who are interested in the personal finance space already know about Dave Ramsey, know about Caleb Hammer, or know about these personal finance influencers. So are the people you want to help already plugged into that community, or the people you help plugged into a different community, right? Maybe I want to reach social workers. Are they in social work Facebook groups? What YouTube channels are they watching? What TikTok accounts are they following? It could be parents. If you're looking at stay-at-home parents, maybe you're needing to join local parenting groups or PTAs or things like that. We talked about this in some of the other videos too. Just think about who your client is, what's their experience, and then where they hang out. And if you have trouble with that, just ask around the people that look like your ideal audience. Ask them where they hang out. Say, hey, I'm needing some help with some market research. In exchange for your help, I'll give you so it's like, I don't know, PDF webinar, some kind of product, or even a free coaching session. And that'll help you better understand the language that they're using, the struggle that they actually face, and not just the textbook stuff that we think, right? For example, we may use the word paycheck to paycheck, but the people who are struggling may or may not use that, right? They may be complaining about inflation more. And so joining, I don't know, this is just hypothetical, an inflation complaint rant group or something, you know. Yeah, just really get into the mind of your client, where they are in their journey, their experience, what they're struggling with, to find where they are. If they want to pay off debt, maybe it's a debt payoff group and things like that. And so the thing with social media, it's really important, is the lead nurture aspect of it. People will hardly ever trust you on a first encounter or a fifth encounter. It usually takes about 7 to 12 touch points with someone to really build that trust. And so holistically, as a coaching company business, it could be phone calls, emails, text messages, YouTube videos, all that stuff cumulatively. Or if you're just doing social media, maybe they have to see 7 or 8 of your posts before they're like, oh, I know what Teddy's doing. He helps people with money. And even the people that see all my posts and stuff like that, they still ask me what I do as a financial coach. They just know it's about personal finance. And so being able to have an online presence where you have a library of content for them to consume, whether it's reading or watching, you need to be active in those touch points. It can be in the comments if they comment. It can be a friend request, just things to get in front of their face about what you offer. And the other thing with other lead nurturing challenge is the scalability. Well, I guess it's a benefit and it's a challenge. To learn how to reach a broader audience efficiently is one of the things you really need to think about. And social media is great for that because you can post it once and then multiple people will read it. If you have a video that will last forever, you can send that video out to any DMs. One thing I have is a budgeting workshop I did. So anytime someone has basics how to budget, I just say, hey, watch this workshop. Let me know your questions. It's not going to cover everything, but it's going to cover most things. And so that workshop was about an hour, and I've sent it to like 50 people. And so that saved me 50 hours of work of going through a budget with someone else. I'm going to re-record it actually, so it could be better. But that's the cool thing with social media. You're not just reaching people around you, you're reaching people around the state, around the country, even people around the world, which is insane to think about. So that's kind of a brief summary of what it is. I really the takeaway for this is that the amount of engagement that you need to have if you want to generate your own leads and clients on social media is a lot more work than you think. I've been actively doing it for about a year in different spaces. I'm like trial and error in TikTok, on YouTube, Facebook, and all these things. And the most effective vehicle that I found actually takes a lead from someone that I don't know to hop in on a consultation call is having that online presence of serving primarily just to serve and then inviting them for a deeper conversation. And then from that deeper conversation, inviting them to a call to really get nitty gritty on all the details. So I tried TikTok. It's great for experience on the camera, but it's not super effective in terms of converting unless you're doing it really at scale. And it's just not my strong suit. A lot of people do build effective businesses. So find a social media platform that you're comfortable with and just stick to that one. Don't spread yourself thin on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, all that stuff. You can repurpose content and stuff like that, but a lot of the big businesses and influencers that do that is because they have the resources to do that. Just master one platform. Right now, for me, it's Facebook. YouTube is kind of a secondary thing. I stopped TikTok altogether. I can repost from Facebook to Instagram pretty easily, so that just exists. But LinkedIn is not a place that I'm at, and we talked about it before we even hopped on this call. Just prioritize where you want your business to grow and stick to it. Because otherwise, if you're splitting your attention too much, you won't be effective in actual progress. Generally speaking, I had a new strategy when it came to Facebook, and since starting, it's helped me get 4 or 5 consultations doing that. It's a lot of work. It's new learning how to even post, how to interact with people and invite people. But it's when you learn the strategy for whatever platform you're on, it can absolutely lead to leads coming into your pipeline or getting familiar with you. So let's kind of leave it open for whatever questions you have when it comes. It's primarily social media, but we can touch a little bit on the other areas of online lead generation, though neither Sam or I have advertising experience of paid ads and really hardly much of SEO, but we can kind of explain what it is and how that can benefit you.
I'm gonna say, I think the one thing that I'm trying to develop a little bit more is a lot of the ads that you do see is exchanging basically your information for a free something, whether that's a free worksheet or a free webinar or things like that. And so, something that I've been working on recently is developing what is my kind of what is kind of my bridge so that if I got to the point that I was doing ads that I had something to advertise because I don't think that advertising, and this is just my opinion, I'm not saying this is correct, but I think that advertising financial coaching is a lot less likely to have people, I feel like people would be less likely to interact with an ad like that than they would something, oh, you join this webinar or join this workshop or you download my workbook or whatever it is. That's just been my experience and things that I've interacted with in terms of ads. And so I feel like it's a lot more eye catching. And then you have their information and can.
I totally forgot to add that in about lead magnets, which is exactly what you're talking about,
Mhm.
where you have something to give away in exchange for an email address or a follow or whatever.
And a phone numbers, because then you can.
Because the things I've done, I made a course about overspending, and initially I was going to sell it, but instead I use it as a lead magnet now just because, logistically speaking, I think it'll be more effective in the long-term relationship with the client that here's a $150 course for free in exchange for email address. And surprisingly, 100 or so people expressed interest, and only like 5 of them actually used it, which is crazy. So if there's something easier barrier of entry, like just a PDF or a budgeting template or something like that, those are also options. Running webinars too. If you just post on social media, ask around, say, hey, I'm doing a webinar about this. If you're interested, send me your email and then I'll get all that stuff out. And so those are other ways for lead magnets. In the business world, they're also called like loss leaders. That's why Costco keeps their $5 chicken at the back of the store. You're getting that relationship, you're exposing them to your other content, and you're adding value to their life. And hopefully that builds the trust. That's those 7 to 12 touch points. Sam and I actually interacted with a particular life coach, I guess really business coach, who had been effective with ads. And so you can do ads to free stuff. You don't have to sell something on ads. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. We just don't have that experience. Obviously, not nearly the scale that she does because she's got a 7-figure business. So that's the goal, though. We'll get there.
I think just majority of ads you see today, and I don't know if anyone can confirm or deny this. This is just what I see. Is most ads that I see on Instagram or Facebook are promoting a free thing. I don't really ever see anyone promoting a paid product anymore. A lot of times it's like, pay shipping and I'll give you my book. I'll give you my book that's normally $30 for free, and it has all these bonuses and whatever it is. Usually it's a free product or whatever, and then they'll spam you with emails, and then eventually you can reach out. Well, some people reach out.
And one day I was like, I don't know if any of y'all have heard of ClickFunnels, but it's a software that people use. All those ads that say free training, all that stuff, and you pop up on this page with all the boxes and the videos and all that stuff. That's one of the biggest programs that they use for marketing right now. Marketing, and then of course they call it CRM, client relationship manager or whatever system. If that's an area you want to dabble in, it does cost I think like a few $100 a month, but it's pretty cool. It replaces what you need for a website. So that also is an online way for lead generation or sales too, if you're able to do it that way. So yeah, what questions we got about online lead generation?
So I'm going to jump in, and I think one thing that I'm struggling with is engaging on social media. I can do that. I get in, a network and I post, but I feel like I'm not really generating leads to my services. I'm just leading people to my content and podcast because I'm starting to get interest in the podcast community. People are reaching out to me. They want to either have me on their show or be on their show. And so there's some traction there, but I'm like, I'm not building any clients. I'm building interest in a podcast or a show. So I'm like, I don't really know how to monetize that because I'm not getting clients, but I'm getting some traction in that kind of like social media space. So that's what I'm struggling with.
That's absolutely understandable, especially early on when you're building the audience. Because like I think the number, say for like advertisements, is that maybe 1 or 2% who engage with the advertisement actually will buy something. And so the scale of what you need to do on social media will probably be a lot larger than you think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 1,000 view video would result in 1 comment, or maybe you need to respond to 10 comments before 2 of them actually take you up on the offer to send you a DM. And that's one thing I like that reset my expectations of the volume and the expectation of like maybe I do need to send 30 DMs a day, or maybe I do need to go on 20 different Facebook posts and respond to 5 comments each of them or whatever in a space like yours when you're doing podcasting and stuff like that. That content can live forever. And so, 2 months down the line, they can still watch that video. But my encouragement is in terms of like scripting and stuff like that, always have a call to action. A CTA is what they call it. Either embedded in the middle of it or just touched on throughout the video. Say, hey, if you love this content, feel free to subscribe or feel free to join my email newsletter for free content, things like that. Another call to action on the sales side, say, buy my XYZ product or schedule a consultation. But every piece of content you make needs to have a purpose, right? You're not just throwing information out there, right? You're trying to help connect that information to someone's life and to someone's transformation. And so saying, hey, you learned this about budgeting, your call to action is if you're interested in using my budgeting template, send me your email, I'll get it to you. And that's their CTA. And it increases the engagement. And whenever you have increased engagement, you have more buy-in, even if they're not paying anything. Something simple like that. My strategy, what I actually use when I engage with them is to answer whatever question they have, respond to whatever comment, but also invite them, say, hey, if you want more help with this, send me a DM. It's less of a hurdle for them to send you a DM than it is to book a full consultation. And then when you're in a private DM space, then you can offer the consultation. You can offer to hop on a call, especially if it's getting into a lot of really minute details where you're like, this is really more efficient if we hop on a call. And as social workers, you also know the importance of your communication in terms of like communication medium, whether it's a phone call or a text or in person, and just how to communicate and stuff like that too. But that would be my pointers on that. That every piece of content has a purpose. If it's to nurture and really build the trust, if it's to get them connected with other people, or if it's just to get them engaged and take that next step, have a purpose for every podcast you do, not just to spread information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really good because I think I've been in the mindset of throwing everything at the wall and then just once again just seeing what sticks. So that seems to be the one thing that's sticking is the podcast. So I don't know.
And it's really a great experience. I see it pop up on my feed all the time. Like, oh, Joey, you're out here doing it and outside your comfort zone. A lot of us are not comfortable on camera, and so the fact that you're doing it and doing it consistently, even if you don't get any clients, you're getting really valuable experience. One of the things that I really reflect on is that when you're new to business, it's a season of learning, right? Season of putting yourself out there, trying new things. I told Sam about this yesterday. I've been doing public speaking stuff or trying to learn like do keynotes and scripting and storytelling and all that stuff. And one thing I gotten kind of comfortable with was stage presence because I'm practicing the skill of talking and all this stuff. One thing I haven't done was sing in front of a whole bunch of strangers when I have no musical background. And it took some convincing, but well, they call me Theo at work. Come on, Theo, just sing a song. Like, don't worry about embarrassing yourself. And I was like, this is valuable business experience singing karaoke in front of 150 teenagers. It turned out fine. I listened to the recording and it was horrible, absolutely. But it is the season of learning. That's what it is, right?
I kind of feel like when first starting out that just getting your name out there sometimes is really what you want to do. It's not about always gaining clients or about this. It's getting your name out so people connect you with that name, I think.
Absolutely. Especially if it's like posting business content is different than posting personal content, right? You can share your own story and say, "Hey, I went here today." Learning how to do that from a business aspect is different. You want to be personal in your business, but you don't want to be like you still want to have clear boundaries that this is a business, this is the purpose. I'm not just posting my life. And a really great way, I haven't done this yet, but I've seen a lot of people do, they just take stories from their day to day and share it. You're like, hey, I was budgeting this morning and here's a realization I had. And so making the personal aspect into the business. Or one of the things I used in one of my emails, you probably should use it in a social media post, is that we have these sunflower seeds that we feed these birds outside this window. And some of them planted in the ground, and we're like, oh, let's plant these in a small pot. It grew like 2 feet, maybe, no, 1 foot. And then we put it in a big pot, and it was like huge, 3, 4 feet tall sunflowers. And there's social media content about the pot you're in yourself. You need to repot yourself to be bigger and better in wherever you are. Different things like that, taking stories from your day to day and making it personal, but tying it to the business, tying it to a call to action. Even if that call to action is just comment, leave a comment down below on your win this week. Leave a comment on things I'm doing. Like someone gave you $10,000. What would be the next thing you spend on it? Comment that or hit subscribe and things like that. But getting your name out there, being a face in front of people. I don't know if y'all have this experience. I think it's super weird, but surprisingly effective, even though it's not like no one's doing. When I see someone on my suggested friends for like 2 weeks, suddenly I feel like I know them, even though I don't know who they are. It's just like, oh, you have mutual friends. And I'm like, I'm not going to add them as a friend. And then a week, 2 weeks later, I keep seeing their face. They seem trustworthy now. I keep seeing them. And it's literally just a profile showing up. And so if you're doing that with your content, with your podcast, with your social media posts and things like that, just think about has that helped build trust with you? Because it definitely has with me. Like I said, it's super weird though. I'm just seeing their face on my feed all the time. Not that they're posting anything.
I think it's actually this is kind of more maybe even a bigger picture, but I've been struggling with I want to do this full time. I still like I want to do this real, real, and I want to commit to it, but the reality is You got bills to pay. I need a job. So I've been really struggling, honestly, with I'm putting all my emotional and mental energies into the financial coaching thing that I've started to lose motivation at work. I'm distracted. I'm just not firing on all cylinders at work because I'm so focused on this other stuff. So it's something that I guess I'm just trying to figure out how would I transition to do this full time if it's not financially possible at this point, but
Mhm.
how would I make that transition? How do I financially make that transition? How do I strategically in a business perspective, make that transition? Because I want to do this full time, but I just can't right now. So I guess that's something that I'm struggling with right now.
I'm right there with you, Joey. I love my job. I'm super blessed that there's such an overlap between what I do for my W-2 and financial coaching, networking, all those skills that I use in financial coaching, I'm using as in foster care, connecting resources, coaching and mentoring teenagers and young adults and things like that. But ideally, I would love to leave social work altogether and do the business full time. Really, my pointer on that is like, so you said you do medical social work, right? Is it medical or mental health?
Medical,
And there's
yes.
a lot of like case management and stuff like that.
It's pretty much all case management, and I'm just burnout from it and not engaged with it. So I'm ready for a change social work wise, and I think it's also part of it.
Do you think that started because of the business or is just you were already burnt out from it
I think it
anyways?
was a little bit of that already started, to be honest,
Okay.
because like I took the job mostly out of just circumstance. I needed a job right out of grad school, and
Yeah.
that was the first thing that came up. So
There's also an option to look, well, you have your LMSW, right? Then it is an option to look at like the groups that you can run. I know some positions out here with outpatient therapy, they have like MSWs, lead groups and things like that. And maybe leading a group will scratch that coaching itch that you have. And
hmm
so that is more fulfilling because I personally hate casework. I'm not gonna lie, just like a lot of paper pushing and phone calls and all this stuff, I don't like.
hmm
But I
Yeah.
do like being that mentor, being in some aspect, some motivational speaking roles where I can stand in front of a group of teenagers and say, you guys, college is not the only way to build a life for yourself. And just like conversations like that. So it may look like finding a new job and still working the W-2 while you're building the business. But if you could find, good thing with social work is that there's a lot of jobs that have a good overlap with coaching or I mean financial social work, right? So it may be time to start looking for another job anyways. Like if you didn't
Yeah.
even have this business, it may be time to look for a new
Oh no,
opportunity.
it's happening. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm looking at I'm tweaking my resume. And actually, Stella, I'm really curious to hear your perspective on this because you've been in the social work game. I don't know how many different fields you've been in, but from your perspective, what would you recommend I could do?
Joey, I will say this. Burnout is the biggest leading cause of social workers leaving the job.
Right.
Because we are those helpers and we take it on ourselves and we can't leave it at the door sometimes. Social work was 30 years of my life and that's my whole career basically. I did a few things before that. I was a florist and worked for the American Heart Association for a little while in Illinois, but since really dedicating career to social work, it's been mostly private adoption was my first 10 years of social work. Then I went to medical social work here in Dallas at Medical Methodist downtown, was in their NICU unit. Now, that was a great job. I loved it because I only had to work with newborns and postpartum moms and then maternity wards. So it was always kind of in my wheelhouse. And then I went into foster care and foster care side of things. And that's when I stayed there for 12 years and got burnt out really bad the last
Yeah.
5. So it was time to go.
Mm.
But I do think that the different things of social work, I have a lot of friends that are in different types. Some are in rehab places, some are in mental health places, some are in geriatrics. There's another good place, and they pay pretty well as well. So I do think that if you come out and look at the different mindsets and the different opportunities that are out there for social workers, I think you might find something that'll click for a little
Yeah.
while you're building this business. Because I do think that this business, along with group leading, like Teddy said, and probably some of the stuff you're doing, even at the hospital where you're working or your medical, you probably could lead some groups and do a few different things and tweak maybe the job you're doing to
Mm,
overflow and stop the burnout a little bit.
I think at this point, I feel like it's a breakup, and we both parties are at the point. I think they're at the point where maybe this isn't a good fit, and then I think it's just a mutual thing that I just need to transition away from. But it's been a great experience, but I'm definitely ready to really take on the financial coaching side of things, but also realizing that I'm going to probably need a W-2 in the meantime. It's just tough. So I'm really looking to try to thread that needle of finding a W-2 for the time being while I build this business.
So maybe you want to find something that's not as case management wise. Some good try. How long have you been a social worker?
It's September.
Well, you work your way up and supervising and then directing programs. That's a whole different beast in itself. I think that's why I got burned out the last 5 years. And I had done it for so long, and regulations in the state of Texas, lawsuits, and all kinds of things that have been
Yeah,
going just really got to be bureaucratic, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Just maybe a different avenue of social work to tie in with this. There are places out there that people need good budgeting for and working with, and maybe corporations. You look at that avenue. That's
yeah.
always a place.
No, I appreciate that. It's good advice and definitely aligns with what I've been thinking already. Just trying to anytime you're thinking about leaving a job or you're leaving a job, you're just like, oh man, there's so much unknown and uncertainty, and then also trying to build a side business at the same time. And so it's a lot of spinning plates, but appreciate your advice.
You're welcome.
It's insane how much time I spend on the business or like mental energy because I would be working on my work stuff while listening to a podcast, or like I'm driving somewhere for work. I got podcasts on videos and all these things going, and this is not illegal, so I can share it. So I went to a conference this past week. It was for my job. It was like a youth leadership type conference, and the whole time I'm just like I'm observing these speakers, and I'm like, I can do that for my business, or I'm pointing out how they're communicating with these youth or how they're engaging. And so I'm just like transferring those skills back and forth using the coaching skills in the work skills in the coaching. But yeah, I said, was it this call or whatever at the beginning? Absolutely. I think a lot of us are in this because we're passionate about it. And rightfully, we want to leave the W-2 to do this full time, to have that control. Like yesterday, I had a day off from work, back-to-back appointments for the business, and I was so excited. If I had back-to-back appointments for my job, I'll be like, oh my gosh. So anything we can do to support you in that journey. In terms of social work, I only have like 3 years in the field in just a few different areas. And of course, Stella has a good amount of experience too. So we just feel free to shoot us a message. I did homeless services and case management there, but there's a good amount of like mentorship you do also, right? Just finding those jobs with different skill sets and definitely move outside of the medical social work, or at least that specialty within medical, whatever, I guess, subset. Are you in like just med surge social work?
No, just regular case management on a floor. I think I'm on a neuro floor now, but
Oh, okay.
just working. It's just really becoming all about getting people out the door, and it's not about actually caring for people. So that's what's really wearing on me, I think.
Because at that point, they're not people, they're like numbers. And
Numbers.
in a way, like your role, I think, as say like you're doing a social work for like end of life care, that's a little different because you can actually listen to their stories and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where if it's like, oh, here's the next step, here's your insurance accepts, and here's your rehab and all this stuff. I can definitely understand how that feels robotic in a lot of ways, and also very managerial, but not
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
Leading
Yeah.
people is different.
For hospital social work, you're put in a little box and you don't get out of that box very far because
Right.
Yeah.
low man on the totem pole when it comes to medical. When I worked in the neonatal unit, I'm telling you, if you did not follow a neonatologist order to the T, they were on you because
Mm-hmm.
they're God. You're working with little
Yeah.
newborn preemies and they're God. And man, they let you know it real quick.
Oh,
So if you want to venture into the mental health space, I worked at a psych hospital, but not as a tech, not as a caseworker. The good thing is that you have your LMSW. I could not lead groups because I just had my BSW. Or if you're under some kind of clinical supervision and you're say it's like a paid supervision or something like that. I don't know how all that works, but if you're like part of a LCSW practice and they got a LCSW supervisor and you're working towards your clinical license, but also working there, maybe that's also an option, right? To have similar work to coaching and while also gaining more experience if the LCSW is the route you want to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd look at a private therapist because they do private practices. They do serve a lot of social workers with therapists, so you could run some of their groups or things like that.
Definitely have been interested in therapy for a long time, and I definitely I think I'm aligned with it. I just like I said, I took the first job that was available. Now that I got my feet wet, I think I'm ready to maybe jump into counseling and therapy. And I think that would also align with financial counseling, financial therapy. So that might actually be a good transition.
Maybe look at getting it in with a lawyer as well, because sometimes they have opportunities for working with clients that need services as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And you have your what's it called, NFSW or like financial social work
CFSW, yeah.
CSFW.
Mm.
That's something that you can actually use. I don't use. I'm a financial coach on my social work jobs. Well, actually, ironically, no, I did use it for the current one because it had some validity to the type of work PAL does. But no, if you have that certification, own it, use it, and you don't know what opportunities may be out there. The social work space, community engagement, just like with social work, financial coaching and financial social work is so broad that you do everything from the micro level of one-to-one to the macro level of program development and
Mhm.
administration. So
Well, I appreciate you all coming together and giving me some good advice. That's been really helpful, and I appreciate it.
I'm definitely gonna miss these calls, not gonna lie. If I honestly think the split attention comes from like, leading with content and stuff. And so in the future, we may just have like port calls where we're just literally just all here, grab our own coffee. I don't know. I didn't have a coffee cup. I'll just say we have a coffee and just chat up and like just touch base,
Mm,
something like that. Because I have a group that does that Wednesday afternoons. They're all in different places in their business journey very early on. They just don't take it as not professionally. It is an extension of their self, not the business. It's not a business. So like the way we talk about it here is different. So I'm even thinking of leaving that group just to do more groups like this, right?
mm,
But
mhm.
part of the split attention comes from the obligation of the content. So it's great for relearning and stuff, but it also does take away from all the other stuff we want to do. So who knows? If y'all still want to meet Saturday mornings, just block off and really just 45 minutes of just checking in, sharing wins and stuff
Mm.
like that. Even like instead of doing it on school, we may just do it on a Facebook community because I don't know if y'all have seen Powerhouse Coaches. Those were led by some of other previous Ramsey preferred coaches. A lot of them have left the RPC program. Some of them are still in it, but they do the same thing, just different dynamics and stuff like that with them. I think they're geared more towards like email entrepreneurs, but for the most part, the content is really great and what they do is really great too. So
I like the idea of us just keeping in touch. I feel like we're like the Avengers. We all have different subsets of specialties and interests and things like that. And I just love that we're all on the same path and the same journey, which is cool.
I mean, Sam and I each know coaches we could probably invite too, so we can expand the group some more and really include other people too. And that way it's just like a free support call instead of a paid coaching program.
Mm.
But yeah, if you want to give us any feedback, feel free to send me a text message. That way, if you're not comfortable with public feedback, it will help us also understand y'all's needs and if there was any area that we could have supported you better. And in the future, we definitely, as a lot of the personal finance coaching gets offloaded to say like some other people we may hire, right? And we do want to focus on more of the business coaching, we may move back to something like this. But I know by that point, y'all will already have super successful businesses too. So I'm excited to see all that y'all are doing. So keep working at it. Continue to invest in yourself with the information that's out there that's freely available. If you want a paid program, Sam and I really love the one that we're in, but there's plenty out there that will help you really move in the direction you want more efficiently instead of trying to throw spaghetti at the wall all the time, which is what I did for like first year and a half. No, I'm kidding. It was like first 8 months. And then once I got in the Ramsey program, it helped me out a lot. But yeah, do you have anything else you want to add before we hang up?
Hey Teddy, so I do like this idea. I haven't been real active today. I'm just fighting a cold or allergies
Oh
or
man.
seeing working nights at to boot. But yeah, I really do like the idea of keeping together. I didn't get the memo, so kind of was a little bit surprised this morning. But no, that sounds good. We can't be splitting our attention. I think I'm splitting my attention right now. I do like the idea of being a coach and getting good cash flow, but I'm also needing something to generate some income, and it's kind of slow on the coaching side. So I'm splitting my attention also, and I feel like I'm getting burned out on the whole coaching thing. Some days I feel like I can do it, and other days I feel like, oh man, I don't even know if I can help somebody. So
Yeah.
I had the ups and downs of it, and I'm just getting back from vacation and everything. So I'm definitely thinking about trying to start getting clients and it's trying to jumpstart that. But like I said, I'm kind of in a fog right now, my mind and
Yeah.
everything
No.
where I'm in a fog. And so I really have enjoyed this group. It's focused my attention a bit, even though it's split. But yeah, it has focused my attention and it's really been helpful. I do like the idea of staying together on these Saturday mornings.
Mm.
Sounds like a really great idea. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on everything.
In that case, I'll probably just honestly, I'll just move everything to, I could do like a Facebook group or something like that. And
We have a Facebook group. We just haven't done anything with it today.
I was thinking of like renaming it because
Yeah.
the way it sounds, it still has that like leadership type vibe to it where like we would be acting as leaders and move away from that and more towards like this is like peer-to-peer support call instead of like leadership because just leadership is
Mhm.
exhausting. But yeah, all right, y'all. Well, we will wrap up. I'll try to post a recording. And if y'all didn't know, actually, I post recordings publicly on the YouTube channel. So if you want to rewatch it there, I don't probably won't have access to school anymore because the the actual school group closes on the 25th of July. But I think some of y'all's subscriptions end in like 2 weeks or so. And so but just know all that content is on the YouTube channel. It's just not organized in like modules and stuff. And I still need to upload last week's stuff. So I will get on that, I promise, after I finish up some of this online school stuff. All right. Well, with that, I appreciate all you're doing in the work, serving your clients, but also serving each other in these calls. The questions you have, vulnerability, and all that stuff is helpful just for all of us. Even as we're answering questions, it helps us to reflect on like the things that matter in our business. And we'll meet next week for including the lead generation stuff on referrals and in-person networking. I think that's really great to talk about, especially the referral part. But until then, feel free to shoot any questions in, I would say, the group me at this point, since everything's winding down in the school community. And then whenever we have some of that Facebook stuff smoothed out and a little better, then we can realize that more and invite people, right? Invite people to that group too. So, all right, y'all have a good Saturday, good rest of your weekend, and keep it on. Bye, all. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. And if you want more content like this, there should be a box right here or one over here to subscribe. My goal really is to help change your life. And if this YouTube channel can do it, I will be super honored to be that part of your journey.